Hello and welcome to Couldn't Scare Less. I'm your host Trip, and this is a first watch waffling about 2025's The Monkey. I literally just finished watching The Monkey, rolled off my bed, booted up my recording stuff, and I'm now talking about The Monkey, because what the fuck did I just watch? It's not for everyone, I'll say that right off the top. I try to keep spoilers out of it for the first 5 minutes. The Monkey is about a cursed monkey toy. One of those, like, organ grinder monkey. Though it's not actually an organ grinder monkey, which I realized. This one, it's like a drum. I thought the organ grinder monkey originally was a literal monkey that sat on top of an organ grinder. It's just one of those conflated terms that have happened with time. Anyways. God, this movie is so fucking weird. It's made by the same guy who made Long Legs, which I really quite enjoyed. We'll probably see that here on the rebooted pod at some point. But this did not hit like Long Legs did. Long Legs had a spark that this just didn't. It is a Stephen King adaptation. I've not read it. It's not one of the Stephen King books I own. I own a couple I got secondhand at a really good price. Nor have I read it. I might. Just to compare it to whatever the bad shit I just watched. Got a lot of very gory kills. The effects vary from really good to moderate to they didn't try. Theo James acts his fucking heart out, though. Credit where it's due on that one. I mostly know Theo James from fucking Divergent. But in this, he kind of stole the show as Hal. Somehow giving a little bit of a believable performance behind this train wreck. I'm gonna clarify. I enjoyed the train wreck. It's not a movie I would recommend to people. But if you want something something that's silly that's not meant to be, kind of a so bad it's good, though I think that term gets overused. The Monkey, you can't go wrong necessarily in that instance. I saw it. Sorry about that. I'm still recovering from a sore throat. Which will probably likely help you know when I record this. Quite a bit ways before you're listening to it. I'm really glad I didn't see this in theaters like I considered. I would have been thoroughly disappointed in my theater experience on this one. This is if we were still in the era of direct-to-DVD horror, this would be one of those. And I mean that as both a compliment and an indictment. It's got that bit of schlock, that cheese, that strange eatness that's not very mainstream or marketable. This went to theaters anyway. I don't know how it went. If something possesses me to do a full, like, top to bottom analysis and discussion episode of The Monkey, like, if that's something y'all want, then I'll do that research and shit. But the point of the first watch waffles are, I watched the movie, I give you about 30 minutes of just off the chest what it was and my thoughts on it. And now that we're right on the 4-minute point, I'm going to say from now on, expect spoilers for The Monkey. Good news is there's not really much to spoil. You ready? Here we go. It was bad. It was not a very good movie. Imagine Final Destination, a series I love and adore, but worse in objectively every way. There you go. That's The Monkey. The Monkey is about a monkey toy that when you turn the key, it picks someone around you to kill and then kills them. That's it. Imagine like a random Death Note. While watching it, there's a character who's driven insane by the monkey. Bill. It's a twin brother of Hal. Hal accidentally kills their mom with the monkey. And then he, like, obsesses about it his whole life after when the kid, Bill, climbs down the well where they hid the monkey to get it back so he can kill his brother with it. He just finds the key. The monkey's not there. So then he obsesses his life waiting for it. He finds it. Then he goes on a murder spree by using the monkey. It's like a weird magical serial killer movie in a weird way. Again, kind of like Long Legs. But this was bad. Some things I really quite liked. Sorry about that. I liked Bill sneaking back into his childhood home and sewing together the funeral suit he wore to his mom's funeral and the clothes he was wearing when he watched his mom die. They didn't need to exposit that the way they did by telling us that he did that. But that was a nice touch, showing that he never really progressed mentally after the death of his mom. It was all kind of like a childish acting out, trying to use this powerful, cursed relic to right a wrong. I will say this movie got a genuine what the fuck, like an audible what the fuck out of me. When something that's said a lot of times throughout the movie is they quote the verse for, I believe it's Revelation or Isaiah or Revelation. I'm pretty sure it's Revelation though. About the horseman death. They quote that line twice in the movie. Hal quotes it as a joke, talking about how he's a bad influence for his kid. He means it as a joke to kind of, dissuade his boss at the grocery store he works at, but he means it literally. He means that death follows him. And then Bill says it later to the monkey, kind of acknowledging monkey as a conduit of death. And for some fucking reason, that's canon. Death himself shows up at the end of this movie on a pale horse and nods at Hal and his son in the car with the monkey and rides away. That happens. Why? I don't know. It was, weirdly, it's kind of the highlight of the movie for me, because the movie wanted to make it abundantly clear they not only jumped the shark, they chained up the shark and used it as a fucking jump rope. Okay, anyways, more about the movie. This movie's kind of softly broken up into a first and second act. The first act, we'll say first, second, third act. We'll be generous. The first act is by far the best. Genuinely, the first 30 minutes of this movie would have been a fantastic short film. And I mean that genuinely. If you cut off the first act of this film, it is a great short film adaptation of The Monkey. But acts 2 and 3 exist. This is a rarity one for me. Where if I had watched legitimate, you could sit someone down, show them the first act of this movie, and they'll love it. Just don't show them the rest. Don't show them this part with adult Hal. Don't show them the thing with his kid going on a road trip to some horror amusement park where they get waylaid by murders by the monkey. Don't show them the weird third act where the kid gets forced to go into the bunker house Bill lives in using the doggy door. And there's this guy named Trasher who sold the monkey for $15 to Bill. And then regrets it for some reason. It's not actually, that part's not really explained as to why he wants the monkey back. Because it's never told to us definitively that Trasher knows that the monkey can kill people. At least not in what I interpreted in that first watch. So, is he planning to mug and shoot the guy over a $15 monkey? Or at least what he thought was a $15 monkey? Bill is even confused why he comes back when he comes back the first time. And he goes, I paid you $15 to get it, not to fall in love with it. He's very confused by the whole situation, which is understandable. The mom from the first act plays She-Hulk in the MCU. And she acts the fuck out of this movie. She's the emotional, story thread of the first act. And kills it. The kid actor's doing a good job. So it is 3 o'clock in the morning when I'm recording this. I couldn't sleep. So I watched a movie. You'll find a lot of my first watch waffles will be recorded around this time of day. The kid acting is solid. I don't. It has this classic Stephen King thing of like bullies, but the bullies in this make even less sense than your average Stephen King. Bill spread a rumor that his twin brother is the reason their dad left, and that somehow leads to him getting bullied. I don't understand. There's like they do mention like the mom wears the pants in the family, so you can't wear the pants. But like, then what the fuck does that mean? This movie's fucking weird, man. Even the parts I like, the first act, which I'm gonna keep talking about probably for a solid chunk of this. That whole thing didn't make sense. I did find the banana thing genuinely really funny. Not Bill telling Hal to talk about sucking the monkey's banana. I didn't find that very funny. But during sex ed class, Hal gets anxious and opens up his backpack and looks at the monkey in his backpack. And then they joke that, he's jacking it to the sex ed video. And so the bullies come later with a metric fuck ton of bananas. Like an excessive amount of bananas. And then he comes home from school coated in bananas. Which, why do you still got the bananas on you, man? Like when he comes through the door, you can see a banana peel go off his shoulder. Why didn't you clean off the bananas? Why did you come home covered in bananas? Presumably after you got pelted with them partway through the school day, in a school that we've already seen has showers, based on the first bullying scene. Bro is exhibiting his free will and just keeping the bananas on him. And then when he accidentally kills his mother later that day by turning the key on the monkey, trying to get it to kill Bill because he thinks Bill is the reason he gets bullied, which may or may not be true. We don't know that for sure. He's still covered in banana, which genuinely made it hard for me to find like the gut punch of the mom's fucking eyes exploding from a hemorrhage that much of a gut punch, because the other character is covered in banana. This movie cannot pick a tone. The life of it. And part of that's part of its charm, right? I think this reminds me of Malignant. Malignant is a weird, punchy, high action, high gore, tonally strange movie that I thoroughly enjoy from 2021. Why did I just do that with sign language with my hand? I don't know. I think fans of Malignant are going to enjoy this movie. I personally enjoyed Malignant, did not enjoy this movie. But I think I'm the exception that proves the rule there. Because if you like fucking bonkers, absurd horror shit that doesn't make a ton of sense, but you enjoy the hell out of it anyway, The Monkey is going to be one of those kind of movies. Truthfully, I think I mostly enjoyed Malignant because it was an interesting modern take on a giallo with a weird sci-fi element to it, if you want to call that plot twist sci-fi. I'm not going to spoil Malignant here. Jesus, how do I talk about this movie? The kid who plays Petey, Hal's kid, Theo Jones's character's kid, he does a solid job, but he's a plot point more than a character. He has two sections in the movie that I like. I like his joke about not being able to poop outside of a house. That's funny. I've heard kids talk that shit before. And how he reacts to learning he has an uncle. Jesus Christ, that scene. It's so weird. Because since Bill's killing everyone in this neighborhood, this real estate agent is handing her card to Theo and then tries to hand one to Petey for some reason. Even though he's clearly like a teenager. Because all these empty houses, all these people are dying. Busy, busy, busy. And he's like, and he just goes into this rant about like just now finding out that this very, by the way, like cold, like plays it straight rant about just now finding out that he had an uncle. And how his dad lied to his face about it less than a day ago. I laughed. I'll be honest, I laughed. Not the absurdist laugh that I had from Death himself showing up right before a busload of cheerleaders get decapitated by a truck of some sort. I didn't laugh at the decapitated cheerleaders. All right, I want to keep it 100. I did not laugh at the decapitations. I laughed at Death himself showing up. Speaking of Death himself, let's talk about the monkey itself. What the fuck is this goddamn monkey? It's cursed, as we see in the beginning. The father of Bill and Hal tries to get rid of this monkey at a pawn shop. Presumably wherever he got it. Based on, like, the guy at the sign. The guy pointing at the sign was like, you can't return toys. I don't know why that's a rule, but maybe that is precedent. I don't fucking know. And then the monkey kills the clerk with a harpoon that pulls out of his intestines. Incredible scene. Like, genuinely a really good start. It's part of that good first act I like. Again, I guess it did set up its absurdist tone pretty early, because then there's a flamethrower in the pawn shop that Pilot Father uses to light the whole place on fire. Which we see melt the monkey's face, but then, nope, it's back, it's fine. It's a cursed object, obviously. And it's a really powerful one, as we see later in the film. It's not just like Death from Final Destination, where it makes, like, unlikely circumstances happen to kill you because it wants you to die, right? It's a bit different. Every time it decides when it hit the drum, it kills someone. It is some kind of sentience, to a degree. Or a will, at least. And is supernatural. Very definitively established to be supernatural. As we see it, like, turn... If we believe Bill's perspective, it's to be believed. It, like, turns a fortune cookie to say that he's coming. There's, like, a weird thing with a calendar. Bill thinks it's fucking Michael from the Bible, which I feel like they gloss over. Because he talks about the flaming sword of righteousness, in contrast to the Death reference. That's talking about, Michael, angel lord of the God's army, if I recall correctly. I might be ordained, but it's been a while since I've studied the angels. But, that's a thing that happens. But we see what this monkey can do if it just doesn't limit itself to one kill at a time. Because typically, if you wind it up, it'll then do, kill. Who it kills is somewhat random. It decides, basically, is what we're told. But it's someone who didn't turn the key. Which doesn't make sense later in the movie, but that's okay. Actually, no, that kind of does make sense. I'll explain why in a second. But we see that after Petey turns it, it doesn't really accept Bill anymore. He, like, tries to wrestle the monkey, trying to get it to drop its drumstick. It, like, wrestles with it. The monkey throws him for some fucking reason. And then it goes fucking drumroll style to be like, hey, this is what I can really do. And then a goddamn plane crashes over the town and kills most of its occupants. Yeah, that that happens. And it's glossed the fuck over. With only mainly jokes made at its expense. And we get a full-on, like, people falling out of the plane through his ceiling. Like, one of them's like a newlywed or something. Or a bride, and she, like, gets hanged through the neck as she falls through the ceiling. And her bouquet gets caught by Bill. It's just, what the fuck is this movie? What was this movie? It killed Bill in the end, obviously. Hal and Bill kind of make up. As the movie makes it abundantly clear, hey, this character is not rational. He's regressed to the point of of a rebellious teenager. Don't take his actions too seriously. He's crazy. Which I don't like. I would have liked a little bit more reason for him to give a shit. Oh, to give a shit about him, I guess. Oh, God, I gotta mention this scene that almost made me turn off the movie. I'm an abiophobic. I have a horrible fear of bees, but primarily wasps, hornets, yellow jackets, those kind of things. And there is a wasp kill. You might be like, Trip, how the fuck does a wasp kill somebody in a movie about a monkey that murders people? Good question. The answer is the monkey, in its infinite wisdom, makes this huge fucking wasp nest droop on a tree branch while Trasher, the dude who procured the monkey, is scratching his head with the gun. Part of why I'm scratching my head actually is because like whenever I see someone scratch their head, it ticks for me for some reason. That's a trip horror story for the future, about the past to tell the future. Anyways, he's scratching his head with the gun and it goes off. He shoots a hole through the windshield, which then goes and shoots a hole through the wasp nest, and then the wasps, single file, fly through in his mouth and inflate him like a DeviantArt, and then a bunch of fucking holes pop through his head and turns his head into a hive. And I almost turned off the movie. I paused the movie after it cut away, and I looked at the runtime. And I went, you know what, I can handle the rest of this. Because I wasn't sure if there was going to be more to the kill. I think I paused it specifically at, like, when you see the wasp, like, aim. Which is weird. You see a wasp aim itself, like, you shot me, I'm going to shoot you. And I'm like, you know what, I'll just take it on the chin. I'll take this one. And it was horrifying. I'd never, a head getting turned into a beehive. That's a new one. It's an awful one. It's going to haunt the fuck out of me. Speaking of haunting, how the monkey works is it haunts a family. It goes generation by generation for some reason. Never established why, but it clearly does. It starts with a father who gets it from the pawn shop. Then he burns down the pawn shop with the monkey inside. Then shows up in his stuff after he abandons his family. I don't know, I'm using a fucking coin. It shows up in his family stuff after he's abandoned his family. So even abandoning your family won't make them safe from this weird curse. They find the monkey, they turn the monkey key, it kills their babysitter at a hibachi restaurant, which was a bummer. I don't plan on doing many cuts in these first watch waffles, right? They're kind of bonus content. But I've tried to say the word fantastic 2 cuts in a row. And a G slips in there. Both times. I obviously cut it out. I word wronged. In a horrible fashion. Sorry about that. Can I technically say the word? Yes. Do I like saying the word? No. Do I like the word? No. Let's continue. So, it's never explained why the monkey is how the monkey is. I have a theory of... I can't... It's 3 o'clock in the morning. I can't do the wind-up film theory voice. Not without, risking annoying people. Only other information we get about the monkey is on its lid. It says, like life. Not lifelike. Like life. So I assume it, like life, it carries on generationally for some reason. Death and life are forever intertwined. So yeah, that was the monkey. I would not recommend it to a friend unless they want something silly and gory to watch. This is weird, alright? I would lump it in either someone who just wants something like, what's that fucking Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Something like that. If you want to like pitch it as something like that, it's like an absurdist horror comedy. This one's a bit less comedy than it means to be. Yeah, it's a hard one to recommend though as like a straight horror movie. It's a good... I can't say it's a bad film even. Because it's well made, the effects are great, the writing's okay. It's just... You can't polish a turd. I mean, literally speaking, you can. But... the core concept here is not workable for an objectively good movie, but that does not prevent it from being enjoyable. Hell yeah, managed to make that make sense at 3:40 in the morning. I hope you enjoyed this first watch waffle. If you're enjoying the podcast, be sure to like, follow, subscribe, all that bullshit. See you next time.